It's a modern classic. A very warm welcome to the viewers joining on British Eurosport. Strade Bianche, 1 minute and 22 the gap on our way to sector number 7 of 10. Mechanical problems all over the road today. There was Fabio Sabatini, Mark Cavendish's great friend and training partner, now in his team, of course. Let's get straight to it with the race. We had one did not start today alongside, actually two did not start. Gianluca Brambilla, who was ill overnight, alongside Ruben Zapunct of Canadel Garmin. And then we two did not finishes so far as well. Nicola Ruffoni of Bardiani and Manuel Bongiorno, who many of you will remember from that Zoncolan stage of the Giro d'Italia last year. Also DNF as well. Mechanicals for De Marchi and Pettinau are back. Valverde and Greg Van Avermaet had their problems on sector 5, but they're back in the group as well. We had 8 away in the group that broke away early on today. Pirazzi, Kosciuszko, Berlato, Colli, Ovechkin, Fonzi, Lozano and Arredondo all out there as well. That's down to 4 at the minute. Pirazzi gone, Berlato gone, Kosciuszko gone, and Lozano had a puncture. 64 Ks to go. They're already attacking them at the front. We're back after our first commercial break with the race proper in just a minute's time. Welcome back, viewers on British Eurosport. Unfortunately, we thought you were with us. 61 kilometres to go. Brian Smith, during that, was just explaining how difficult and uncontrollable this race can be.
It is. It's a very difficult race. You can make plans, but the plans can be thrown out the window with a puncture or a crash or anything. Fortunately for the riders, it's not wet. It's a very good dry day, sunny day. But again, they have to go over these roads where, you know, unsurfaced, they can have a few punctures. We've already seen so far that Kreuziger had to wait a long time to get a wheel, and, you know, he's further back. But we're coming up to just under 62 kilometres to go to the finish. The gap to these 4 riders, 44 seconds. They are racing hard. You can see this gap is coming down. Movistar are heading the bunch behind, a very depleted bunch that is, probably only about 60, maybe 70 riders left in the bunch behind. But they're coming up to the 5-star sector, 11.5 kilometres at 53.6 kilometres to go. So again, they'll be wanting to race into that. And again, anything can happen in this race. This is a depleted peloton. You've got a couple of service cars behind, but the team cars are not there. So the team cars are not there to protect or change the wheels. And I can only think there's a group behind, and that's what's stopping the team cars from coming to the front.
Well, Cancellara, a 2-time winner of this race, has been close to the front. A really reduced peloton, so much attrition, so many mechanicals, as Brian has said, so much difficult terrain to control. Let's have a look and take stock of where we are, because we've been up and down, on and off at the start today. Monte Sante Maria, sector number 7, lasts 11.5 kilometres. It was a sector that they moved later into the race last year to try and make it even more interesting than it already is. And it's the big one that's really going to test this group. We're 60 Ks out still. It's a funny race in terms of when to time your attack here, Brian, because we've got 4 riders in the break at 42 seconds. Riders out there are Colli from Nippo Vini Fantini. Alongside him, you've got Ovechkin, you have Fonzi and Arredondo. Those guys are going to really struggle to survive. When is it that you time your attack here? Because there's still 4 sectors to go before that final 15 Ks and then the steep climb into Siena. So many different obstacles.
That's what we're looking at, so many different obstacles. You can't, if you're thinking about attacking for the win, it has to be in the final, you know, 20 kilometres. We do have some sectors to come, and they're all rated. The next one up is 5 stars, 2 after that 4 stars, and then to finish off with 3 stars sector. But it's moving up at the right time, saving a little bit of energy on these sections. We have got the longest section coming up, so you really want to hit that in the top 6, try and stay there. But again, it's effort after effort after effort. It's just like, you know, obviously Paris-Roubaix. It's just been there for the Forest of Arnberg, and staying towards the front in all the sectors. If you just relax ever so slightly, you find yourself behind, crash, puncture, anything can happen. So you have to ride this race from the front, which makes it 200 kilometres of concentration and pain.
Plenty of pain to come, plenty of beautiful scenery as well. Last sector of Lucignano d'Asso Section that was mostly downhill, lasted for about 9 kilometres. First selection has been made there in the last couple of years, and it was really today with that reduced group. This is what remains of the group. At the back, Arredondo, who is that rider on the smallest bicycle frame just about out there. Had special bike fits over at the winter training camp in Spain. This is Daniele Colli, sometime Eurosport commentator over in Italy.
And Colli's actually going well. We finished up there, I think it was 5th in Kuurne, Brussels-Kuurne, just at the weekend. So a rider that's got some decent form, but decided to go on the breakaway today.
Colli out there behind. Well, in the breakaway, he has Damiano Cunego in his team. Cunego was out here around 15 days ago doing plenty of recon, looking at it. And, of course, Cunego dropping down from World Tour this year. They're going to be in there, of course, invited to the Giro and what have you, and invited to the Italian races. He'll be trying to peak for those big invites this year. So it's a bit of a different story for Cunego this year.
It is, and it, you know, it wasn't really expected. We've just seen the reason why there was only a neutral service vehicle in the referee's car behind this race, as we see another group coming from the back. So the team cars have been held back because the gap between these two groups was only within 1 minute. So some riders starting to come up, as we can see, riders from various different teams trying to make it back to the front of the race. I believe that looked like Sammy Sanchez coming up towards the front. Pozzato's in this chase group as well. So we've increased the numbers to the front of the peloton. That looked to me like Andy Fenn was also in there for
behind him as well.
Team Sky. Lastras was moving back there because I believe that he had a puncture. So fortunately he punctured, got a change of the wheel, and is getting helped back up by this chasing group.
So inside 60 kilometres to go. Remember, this race seems like it's been around for an age. It's a modern classic, only the 9th edition. Upgraded this year to an all-category race. 20 teams involved. And we've also got the Italian national team racing as well this year. Julian Arredondo feeling the heat a little bit and the pace. The heat in terms of the effort that he's having to put on. It is still a cool day out there. You might notice that the title of the race has changed slightly as well this year. Strade Bianche, now called Eroica Pro, which is a nod to the origins of this race. The Eroica, the amateur race. So a bigger group at the front. Right in the centre of that, Vincenzo Nibali. It's only his 3rd race this year. Italian national team racing. They're set up by the man who used to be our colleague in the commentary box for Italian television, Davide Cassani. He's now the director sportive and coach of the Italian national team. He actually approached Nibali about racing over in San Luis in January. Apparently, the word on the street is the team didn't like that. Astana didn't want him racing down there. Nibali did want to race there, and apparently Nibali is a little undercooked as to where he'd want to be at this point of the year. He's only raced 2 stage races out in the Middle East. He's here. It's just to see how he's going to go in the run-up to the Tour de France this year. Whether we're going to see him like last year, just concentrating on the Tour de France and trying to have his best form there.
Well, I think it worked for him. His first win last year was the Italian Championship, and he's a great Tour de France. So the pressure was on him. He wasn't producing anything early season last year. So I think if it worked last year, he's going to try it again. And, you know, the Tour de France will be one of his main goals. He'll be up against Chris Froome and Alberto Contador, 2 other very good stage race riders that will want to take that crown if they stay upright. But back to the front of the peloton, Daniel Oss on the right-hand side, Manuel Quinziato also there for BMC. They're looking after the interests of Greg Van Avermaet. Just over on the left-hand side, you can see the Slovakian champions jersey of Peter Sagan. You've got Tzato at the front for Tinkoff there. So, yeah, all the major players are now being protected. We're only about less than 3 kilometres away from the longest section, start 5-star section, the only 5-star section in the 10 sections we've got. 11.5 kilometres to go, 11.5 kilometres in total, that section. So that's why we're seeing some of the teams bringing their big players up.
That's when we get towards Asciano, as you can see there. 29 seconds, and Ovechkin has decided to call it a day. 3 left at the front with 25 seconds. The man on the left-hand side is Fonzi. Still no leather jacket spotted at the side of the road, by the way. Alongside Colli, and behind him Arredondo. There's that sign for Asciano again, just 18 seconds now. Pablo Lastras right at the back of this group. 1-3-4, we haven't seen it much on our screens during the early season race. Canadell Garmin, new formation. Teams put together from the two World Tour teams last year. They have Moser riding for them. The man at the back was Ryder Hagedal, of course, a former Giro d'Italia winner as we pass through Asciano. Canadell Garmin starting a man down today with Ruben Zapunkt, German, who you and I saw in excellent form over in the USA Pro Challenge last year, and of course the following Tour of Alberta. He signed but did not start today. First hour, by the way, was really fast today, 44.5 kilometers per hour. And of course 37.6 kilometers an average over the first 3 hours. Windy today. We also had a women's race. Megan Garnier won that earlier on today. Lizzie Armitstead was second, and the best Italian in third place, Elisa Longo Borghini, in the first ever women's Strade Bianche race, and another good race to add to the spring calendar for the ladies as well. Summed up at Newsblad last week, kicking things off for everybody. 55 Ks to go. Colli, Arredondo and Ovechkin. Italy, Colombia and Russia represented. Only one World Tour team amongst the three there. Good turnout of World Tour teams this year here as well. Seems to be increasing every year. Only a handful missing. Even if a couple of teams, namely Sky and Lotto NL Jumbo, have decided not to field the full 8-man rider lineup. Pete Kenyug pulled out for Team Sky. And of course, Lotto NL Jumbo supporting Sepp van Marke, but only with 4 riders with them. De Wet, Flens, Martens and the former German champion Wagner. Now 2 left, as Arredondo says, that is that.
Well, it does look as if it's all over for Arredondo at the front of the race, but I think he's done his job. It's important for Trek Factory Racing, especially when you have a 2-time winner here, Fabian Cancellara, who won in 2012 and way back in 2008. They had a representative in the breakaway, originally 8 riders, so they didn't have to do any chasing in the front. But when that happens, you know, obviously you've only got 7 riders behind. So this is us just about to go on to the longest 5-star sector very soon, 11.5 kilometers, 5 stars.
And that's why they're kicking up already.
That's why the teams are trying to protect their protected rider today, likes of Sagan, Cancellara, Valverde. And that's why we got a big battle to get onto this section.
Monte Sante Marie. Here we go. And thankfully it's not raining today, because we'd have the brown roads instead of the white roads like we did on the Giro d'Italia a few years ago. It was a heroic watch, but it certainly wasn't a thing that many of the riders will have enjoyed. Look at this, it's a real effort to try and stay away from Fonzi. Looks as though he's about to leave Colli in his wake. Peloton closing in behind. Sepp van Marke is the man in the yellow and black right in the middle of your picture there. He was going great guns last weekend, and on his wheel, Zdeněk Štýbar. On the right-hand side, Tinkoff with Chris Juhl Jensen getting a man to the front as well. And this was that little acceleration. Big one for the tyres as well today. We hear it every year. We talk about tyres, tyre makers making handmade tyres for Paris-Roubaix. Fabian Cancellara going to the factories in the winter to talk tech and get ready. The likes of Tom Bowden doing the same. Certainly a unique approach for this one as well, Brian, with the tyres and the mechanical setup.
Yeah, I know that there's a few manufacturers out there. Obviously, it's great to have a team sponsor, but sometimes in these type of races and some of the races in Belgium, you need specialised tyres, and I know every company cannot do just a small amount of tyres just for these type of races, and you know, obviously they're looking at mass producing tyres. So I know some of the teams in the past have had some problems with tyres, and they're looking to work with their sponsors to create kind of special tyres for these type of races, and it's crucial because, you know, you can be in with an opportunity. I know that you know, one of the teams that was riding Omloop had 8 punctures within about 30 kilometres from about 150 to 180, and when you have 8 punctures on the team, it's unfortunate, and you know, push you out the race. So again, it's difficult, but you know, the pros want the best, and that's why they'll try and work with their sponsors to try and get the best possible tyres for these type of conditions.
Colli was able to make it onto the wheel of Fons. He's just too strong at the minute. Again, not to be mixed up, because Simone Ponzi is also in the team for Southeast today. He's wearing 127, by the way. This is Fonzi on the left-hand side. Valverde is leading the chase behind. And look at this, Colli has gone. He is about to be retaken by the group. Motorbikes will be being asked by commissars to get out of the way fairly quickly as well today. One left in the break. Colli goes. On the left-hand side, it's Alejandro Valverde leading the charge himself. Couple of Astana riders behind him. And mechanicals all the way through the race today. Lampreman is Valerio Conti. 73 on the right-hand side, Pablo Lastras. Keep seeing those red jerseys and thinking that we've got Lotto Soudal out there riding. The red jerseys, of course, are Rusvello.
I was just about to say, I've seen the Italian Champions jersey just sitting in the top 10 there, right next to, I think it's Greg Van Avermaet of the BMC. So Nibali's right up there. You can also see a yellow jersey of Lotto Jumbo. That does look as if it's Sepp Van Mark, but I can't see many of his teammates. Okay, they only started with 5 today. Can't see many of his teammates there.
Pushing on and attacking. Listen to this. Plenty of fans on the side of the road as well. And to the early attacks, Valverde and Sagan are both there to respond. Not too many of these big guys with any teammates around them. It's also almost a fight to the man.
You can see some teams with their teammates. Tinkoff is there. Astana do have numbers, but just look at the wind blowing. You can see the flags blowing, and the wind blowing from the right to the left-hand side, which is causing the riders some concern as well. It's these steep climbs, so very difficult all round, and it's a tough race, and it's going to produce a very strong winner.
Everything ready. We're here in Siena, the beautiful square where this race will finish. A lot to happen on the road since, and of course we're getting splits in the peloton between those who have the legs and those who don't in these crosswinds.
Well, it's a team of Astana that's pushing on here. I can see that Nibali's towards the back. Stibar is just behind them for Ethics, but this is the back of the front group, and already riders are in trouble.
105 there is Michael Hepburn. Orica Greenedge did come today with Simon Gerrans. The word is he has not finished. He's not fit yet. This is his first big race this season. So Stibar is there. Here comes one of the riders from Jumbo. Is Van Marke. Van Marke is there. And of course, riding away is Lars Bohm at the front doing his thing for Astana. So as far as Nibali being on the road on one of these types of races is concerned, it's a bit of deja vu, because Bohm, riding in a different team, was ahead and out there in the Tour de France last year when Nibali was doing his thing on the cobbles. Now they're together. Bohm is there. Valverde is there. Van Marke in the yellow, although he didn't win last week, probably just about the strongest guy on the road, I think, in Omloop, bar the winner, Ian Stannard, remember. Beautiful green hills of Tuscany. It's funny, isn't it? You turn on the telly every March, and here's this race to remind you that you don't live in Tuscany. It's absolutely beautiful. They've just got to watch those gaps. Such a strong group here. Stibar, certainly on this terrain, will be at home. Peter Sagan, well, he's been out there. He's been... Here he goes. Just briefly onto the pedals there, thinking about putting a bit of an acceleration on. I was just about to say, he's been out there in the Middle East. He's looked quite relaxed. He's looked as if he wasn't taking it too serious at times. I was out there in Oman the other week, and he was in an almost too relaxed mood at times, I think. But he's looking good and looking set here. Some riders do have the knack of knowing when just to flick that switch. Okay, this is the serious stuff. This is the classic season.
You just see the ruts in that because the roads are dry, and the riders are going down it before them are putting some ruts in. Got a puncture, it looks like, for one of the riders just in front, but gaps appearing everywhere. The strong riders at the front, you only see a group of about 6 riders. Cancellara is there, Sagan, Valverde, but the gaps appearing everywhere. It's not just the inclines that are causing damage to this peloton, but you can see some of the descents as this rider here from Rusvello just takes his foot out as he gets caught in one of the ruts which have been produced by the riders that have already preceded him.
Ovechkin, who was in the break there, 117. There was a rider who was just getting distance from that front group, and it looked as though it could have been the white jersey of Fabian Cancellara. Way to confirm that.
We're down to only 7 riders now, and this is the 5-star sector, 11.5 kilometres, and it started at 53.6 kilometres to go to the finish, and still a long way to go in it, and already only 7 riders in front, and just look at the big gaps behind now.
Yeah, we come off at Torre a Castello, which is the end of Sector 7, and that will come with 42.2 kilometres to go. There is Simone Ponzi, actually, being left behind. The man on your picture now for Team Cannondale Garming is Christopher Scherping of Norway.
Bronze medalist in the Under-23 World Championships last year.
50 kilometres to go on Strade Bianche 2015. All that white dust kicking out. There'll be some fantastic photographs floating around later online today.
You can just see how exposed all the riders are now as Sepp van Mark pushes on at the front. There's I've not seen any helpers at the side of the road, any staff members with wheels. The commissaire car is trying to move up. Riders absolutely everywhere. So all the riders are exposed now. If they have a puncture, the race could be over.
So inside 50k. Sagan on the right-hand side in his brand new jersey as national champion of Slovakia. Looks as though Cancellara is back in that group. Just at the front of it now. We've seen Valverde there, we've seen Nibali there. Van Avermaet as well, wearing the red and black of BMC. Go off for a quick commercial break. Back in a minute with the last 50k's. Catch-up time behind for a lot of riders who may have well have been wanting to be in that front select group. The man at the back here is Luka Pibernik, the Slovenian rider of Lampremerida. Just in front of him, you've got Sonny Colbrelli, who's running for Bardiani. This is the front group, though. There are accelerations all the time. Number 106 in here, Magnus Cort Nielsen, a guy whose career you've followed quite a lot, Brian.
Yeah, he rode for the Cult Energy team. Cult Energy now a second division team. He rode so well in a lot of the Scandinavian races. As you see, a second group now with Iran and Nibali in this group. But yeah, Magnus Cort Nielsen, very good Danish rider. And I was actually talking to Matt White during the fjords, during the Eurosport coverage, and I tipped him off. I said, look, this guy in here, you want to watch him? And he watched during between a stage race or when he was at home. And Magnus Cort actually won the stage, so he made contact with him. He came over with his father, and the deal was done. This is the rider at the back for Orica Green Edge. Great prospect for the future, and a very good signing by Orica Green Edge as Daniel Oss makes it across to the front group to make it 10.
So 10 and 2 for BMC, because Greg van Avermaet is there as well. Nathan Haas is the rider in the black and green at the back. Cancellara, Stibar, who's looking really good from this group, as is Sepp van Marke. Diego Rosa is the only Astana rider left after it was Vincenzo Nibali who dropped out. And this is another of those chasing groups behind. Number 146 at the back is Alexei Tsatovic from Katusha in Russia. And still another 6 kilometers about to go of this sector. Most difficult sector in terms of the ratings that the sectors have had here on Strade Bianche this year. Lots of people out on those old bikes, inspired by the Heroic itself. And this is Peter Sagan, followed by Stibar, Diego Rosa as well. A bit of an acceleration. Valverde, as there are gaps appearing all the time. And a TV motorbike caught right in front of those two. Something to follow, but it's a right mess with people on the side of the roads. It's a scruffy, scrappy road. And of course, Alejandro Valverde just realizing that if there are accelerations, he has to make it up and stay with the top riders.
Yeah, just that slight descent before this small climb. You can just see riders absolutely everywhere.
And this is Jose Serpa Perez, who's had a bit of a mechanical there.
But it's just this kind of small descent, and you can just see riders getting caught out in these ruts, and very difficult. And the wind is actually blowing from the right-hand side of the screen as well. So when you start getting buffeted by the wind and pushed into the gutter, some of these riders are so light that they almost get pushed off the road there.
47.5 k's to go. Monte Santa Maria, if you're coming in late and joining us late, this is the most important section in terms of difficulty. It's also the longest of this part of the race, 11.5 kilometers to go. 10 sectors of Sterrato, brown roads, Strade Bianche, white roads, however you want to call them, however you see them. 45 Ks out of 200 kilometers of this race are on these types of road. It's what makes it so special. Those little clouds of white dust that you can see kicking up. And it's Peter Sagan who are leading things at the front at the minute for Tinkoff Saxo. The beautiful scenery of Tuscany is the backdrop to this very special race. Brian, if this was 100 years of age, pardon me, what were we talking about it as a monument?
I think so, yeah, of course.
It's got its unique character,
at the other races, yeah, it's just not got the history. But everybody wants to ride this race. You know, when he starts from the start line, and you know everybody gets enthusiastic coming up to it. In the race, you know, you can just see riders everywhere, and you know, nerves, and it's a very difficult race to control. And the only way to ride this race is from the front. Again, it's like Paris-Roubaix. You have to ride from the front, and there's no other way about it, and fingers crossed that you have the right you know, tires, and you don't puncture. So again, we've got a mix of punchy riders like Sagan and Stibar, but also riders that you know, can climb well with Valverde, who seems to want to kind of keep pushing on.
Well, he rode the Middle Eastern Grand Tour, if you like, that Alejandro Valverde. He rode each and every one of Dubai Tour, Tour of Qatar and Tour of Oman. I spoke to him quite at length out in Oman, doing some television interviews, and he was in really, really good shape. Very confident, very happy, and he said he always aims to be in good shape for this time of year. Peter Sagan's there with him. Stibar showed his strength fantastically well in opening weekend in Belgium last week. Of course, having to save himself in the end because he had 3 riders ahead of him, and of course he wasn't going to attack his own team to bring a couple of other riders back. 46.2 Ks to go, and this is what's chasing on behind. Still for markers in there, still Cancellara as well. The blue rider wearing the Astana jersey a little further up the road is Diego Rosa of Italy, and he looks like he's doing a half-decent job of trying to close this gap.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. All 3 riders in front of Stibar, Sagan and Valverde all taking turns. They know they're in a very strong situation. They have got some good form, and they're helping each other. Still 45.9 kilometers to go to the finish, so they're happy. It's a small group. They're all contributing to the pace, and they don't really want anybody to come back up to them. But just looking down, the service car that was behind them is now pulled over to the side and now behind this group. So they've got a hard chase, but it's down to BMC now, because they have got Van Avermaet and Os in this group. Nathan Haas is still there, Cancellara, and also in the yellow there, Lotto Jumbo is Van Marcus. They're just coming up to the wheel of the Astana rider, Rosa.
So Rosa has been caught. It's Valverde doing his big turn on the climbs here. Sagan right in the middle in his Slovakian national champions jersey. Stibar just behind him, and that's a really interesting pairing together in a breakaway here, because they both won their national jerseys in the same race last year. They still hold the old Czechoslovakian championships together, and of course the winner, or the first rider to finish from each nationality, takes the jersey. Last year, Stibar and Sagan were in a break together. It was Stibar who won the race. He won the Czech jersey. Sagan who came second, and Sagan won the national Slovakian jersey as well. By the way, that is Sagan's last win. "45 kilometers to go. Strade Bianche hotting up. 3 sectors to go after this one. The next is just 800 meters. Then there's a 2.4 kilometer section. Then we come to the 10th and final sector, which is difficult. It's called Le Tolfe. It's the last sector of gravel roads. Uphill gradients of 18% there before that climb up inside the city walls and into Siena itself. 20 seconds is the gap for the front 3 riders. And that's on the first chasing group. You can see it now on your picture. 3 riders right at the top of your picture there, just going round the bend on the right-hand side. The bend on the bottom of your picture here with the chasing group. Riders as well, just choosing how to take the roads. There are cars, there are motorbikes, there are other bikes. that, of course, left imprints in the road, as you said. And think of all the riders that have come and done the recon on these roads in the last few weeks as well, and the motorbikes and things. They'll have been heavily ridden over the spring, these roads, when for much of the rest of the year, they might not be touched too much.
I wouldn't think so. You wouldn't want to just, you know, come and ride in a training ride over here.
Not unless you've got a back pocket full of inner tubes.
Yeah, exactly. Some of these tyres they're riding are very specialist and expensive to, you know, just the normal punters. But these three riders have decided to keep the pressure on us. The problems in these sectors are obviously steep climbs, and you have to sit down and it's gaining traction. But the dangerous parts of these roads are the curves. And the corners. You just see Daniel Loss coming into here, just slowing up, just touching the brakes, feathering the brakes, and that's the difficulty. And it's the group behind trying to get organised, trying to chase, and when you're trying to chase back to the front, you take some risks, and if you take risks in these roads, you find yourself on the deck.
Another 1.5 kilometres to take risks before the end of this sector, which is denominated Monte Sante Marie. Valverde at the back in his Movistar jersey, dark blue with the green M on it. On the right-hand side, you've got the Czech Republic national champion, Zdeněk Štýbar. He is in the three-colour jersey, white, red, then blue. And then you've got the fantastically new design jersey of Petr Sagan. And Tinkoff Saxo have done a much better job of looking after that jersey than Liquigas had done throughout the years. Natalie Cannondale. I think he's a 5-time national champion already before the age of 25. Has his brother in the team as well today, Juraj. Older brother. Daniel Loss on the front for the chasing group now, and that perhaps explains why the gap's down to 18 seconds from 28. Set for Marca in the yellow just behind him. Then you have Fabian Cancellara in the black and white, Swiss rider. This is absolutely beautiful to watch. You can almost hear as the gravel gets crunched under the tyres as well, the gear change.
Tell you what, Nathan Haas at the back here is hanging on as much as he can. Good to see him in this front group. He just puts it into the small chain ring on these small inclines. The rider from Astana Rosa doing a very good job. Nibali, his team leader, just further down. You can just see them in the distance. Cancellara just sitting on the wheels. Van Mark has already showed his form this year already. But with two riders in this chase group for BMC in the red, it's up to them to do a lot of the work.
Haas with another little acceleration. He struggled on every little climb we've seen, but he's had the guts, the determination and the power deep down somewhere to close the gap and get back on. Here was Sagan swinging the bike from right to left. Valverde leading them up the climbs. 9 seconds is all that's left, though. And that motorbike behind, rest motorbike photographers as well, perhaps has been told to get close and get ahead whenever it can. 7 seconds as we're back on the roads proper. It's the back of Nathan Haas' bike. So then, Valverde pushing on. Does Zdeněk Štýbar right at the back.
He's taking his Geely off, so warmed up. He didn't want to take any risk taking that off in that sector, so he will look to either put it up the back of his jersey or try and discard it to one of the cars behind.
18 seconds again, they've got to be quick here. Daniel Loss at the front of the group behind could be a real big card to play for that group, because if he is going to sacrifice himself for Greg van Avermaet and get this group back on, then he could be dangerous against those three guys.
He could be, but they've got a hard chase. Just seen Sammy Sanchez, who was fortunate enough to get a contract and stay on with BMC, because
looked like he was going to retire, didn't it?
Yeah, it's got very close. You can just see just giving it to one. He wants to give it to the TV motorbike. He doesn't want to carry it at the best place. Just throw it up the back of your jersey, but he's actually going to give it to the TV motorbike. But the TV motorbike obviously just doesn't want to help out, unfortunately, for Štýbar.
He's got enough Czech national champion Giles at home already, perhaps. You'd think he'd want, but that's a nice little memento of the day. So, issue sorted. Sagan is back there. A couple of soigneurs on the side of the road as well. We mentioned it's not just about mechanical issues. Feeding's difficult in a race like this as well, isn't it?
It is. It's you need a lot of staff, and you can't really cross country to get to many of the sectors. So it's a lot of staff riders having to position themselves at key points of the course today. But because of this sector, the 11.5 sector 5-star, it's forced the stronger riders into the offensive, and now we've got 3 strong riders in front. This gap back to the group behind, including the likes of Van Mark, Van Avermaet, Haas, Cancellara, are at 28 seconds now. They pulled it back to, you know, under 20 seconds, but again, it's gone out ever so slightly.
It was 7 seconds at one point. So we got a really interesting slow motion a moment ago. Sagan and Valverde looking down at their stems. Where am I? What's next? Surely it's got to be the idea, because they've got a little bit of paper there, and it's almost like a menu, if you like. Number 1, number 2, number 3. 3 courses left. Of course, sector number 8 is just 800 meters long, and you've got 9, which is 2.4 kilometers, and then Le Tolfe, which is the difficult one. The difficult one remaining 18%, and lasts around, where are we? A couple of kilometers. Siena after that. 10 seconds from first group to second. 40 kilometers to go.